But let's get into the last connector with, bro. Last connector with of the pod, man. And this is a name that I know a lot of boxers out there have been annoyed with hearing over and over, but you can't hate the player, hate the game. Can't hate the player, hate the game. And at the end of the
Himalayas,
you know what I mean? Exactly. And let's talk about Jake Paul versus Haseem Rahman Jr., man. So initially, we all know that Mr. Tommy Fury was supposed to arrive from the UK so that they can finally have their match, Paul versus Fury. Unfortunately, they not letting Tommy in the US. It looked like Tommy got some kind of plug to some OG killers or some kind of mafia gangsters or something. You know what I mean? He got some kind of mob ties that the U.S. is saying, nah, Tommy Fury, you ain't coming in the U.S., my brother. And so ultimately, that fight, if it's going to transpire in the U.S., is not going to happen. So we'll see if Jake Paul in the future wants to go over to the UK and actually make a UK fight with Tommy Fury. But so that fight is over and done with. That whole saga is now over with. So that forced Jake Paul to turn his attention to a replacement fighter yet again. And this time it is a real boxer. We're talking about somebody who's sitting here with over 10 fights, and that is Haseem Rahman Jr. Not to mention, it's a fighter who's coming from an absolute high boxing pedigree as far as his family. His pops was a champ, Haseem Rahman. And so at this point, we're now about to see Jake Paul really get in there with a real fighter. So a lot of people will have to, sit back and watch this one to see how it goes, because that's honestly what people have been clamoring for. People have been clamoring for Jake Paul to step up the ladder if he really wants to really be a boxer and start to take on real fighters. Now, I will say there is word that Haseem Rahman used to be a trainer with Jay, not a trainer, but a sparring partner. Yeah, it's word that he used to be a sparring partner. And also, Haseem Rahman Jr. is coming off of a TKO defeat. Right. So that would have a little bit of cause of pause for people to make them feel like, okay, maybe there's something that the Jake Paul camp knows about Haseem Rahman as far as him having fallen off or something going on. They know the inner workings because he used to be a sparring partner, and he just suffered a TKO defeat in his last bout. So, Q, here's the connector with, all right? Jake Paul will look stellar against a real boxer in Haseem Rahman Jr.
I don't think he's going to look stellar.
Okay.
So, I'm going to say it's a whiff. I don't think he's going to look stellar. I think he's going to have his challenges. And one thing about it, because, this game, man, you don't know if you know about it. It's a hydration clause, man. Because one thing about it is...
word? I didn't know about that, man. Tell me about that.
You can't hydrate over 10 pounds. And the fight is at 200 pounds, bro.
What?
Man, the smallest weight that Haseem Rahman Jr. has fought, if I'm correct, is like 223 pounds. That's as light as he came in. So now...
so he's shrinking them down. So he's shrinking them down.
For where he's fought at his lowest weight. And then you can only hydrate up to 10 pounds. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like that. Weight classes and stuff matter, but I'm just saying. And this fight, this ain't been a long, because like a month ago they would look, less they would look at still trying to get Tommy Fury. So
right.
That's my call to pause about even making predictions in this fight.
Okay.
One thing about it, he's 6 foot, like he's taller. He got an inch or two taller than him. He's a much bigger guy, and and him coming off that loss. I've been watching him and watching the press conference and all of that. He's confident, and I think that he's carrying that Rahman name very proudly. He said that he won't dishonor his father's name. He spoke on the fight with Evander Holyfield and Haseem Rahman when he had the big unicorn, when he had the big the big tumor looking thing on his head, and he talked about how his father could have died if it would have been hit the right way. It could have bust open, and he could have bled. So he said he's not going to dishonor his father's name and his family legacy by even getting in there playing games. He getting in there, because Paul said he's finna end. He said he's finna end that name. Rahman, he said he's finna end the Rahman name. So Yeah, I'm pulling for Robin, man. You know, hopefully, man, I still don't think Jake Paul is gonna look that great because you fighting a real boxer now. You find somebody that only boxes, and you know, I just don't like the weight clause. I just really don't like the weight clause, man. That's what I got. What you say?
Yeah, man. I shoot, man. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You gave me some info. I hadn't dug deep enough to know that there was gonna be that Jake Paul hit him with a rehydration clause.
Yeah.
I didn't know they're doing a rehydration clause. So then to me, that adds more fuel to the fire that the Paul camp knows something. They absolutely know something. They know that he's coming off a loss. They know that they've sparred against him, so they know his skill set. And then they also know that, okay, it's beneficial if we shrink him down and he doesn't come in 230, 240. So yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm looking at this real close, even with the hydration things that are gonna happen as far as him not being able to weigh over 210. I still am excited for this fight because with Haseem Rahman Jr., he got to have a level of pride, man. I know you just spoke on what he said in the press conference about him not dishonoring his family name. And I'm excited to see it. And so I think it's a whiff for me as well, bro. I do not think Jake Paul is going to look stellar in this fight. I think that Haseem Rahman Jr. is going to come and show his real boxing pedigree. And it's going to be a tough, rugged fight for Jake Paul, man. And I think that it's going to be a real dicey one. I predict that it's going to be a real dicey one, and that Haseem Rahman Jr. might even possibly knock off Jake Paul, man, because I think that he's got enough background and skill. Because even though Haseem Rahman Jr. only has like 13 fights, man, for your pops to be Haseem Rahman, bruh, there's just boxing that you just get by just being around. There's knowledge and wisdom that you just get from the sport just by being around your pops and watching him do it. So I gotta believe that all of that accumulation of time around the sport of boxing gotta be enough to knock off a Jake Paul, bro. So I'm gonna say that he'll have a difficult time.
And Haseem Rahman, you know, have told Rahman Jr., he's like, man, you don't underachieved at this point, and you're not even being shady. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, based on his son's response to that, because they asked him about that.
Uh-huh.
You know, how you feel about your father saying you basically been sort of disappointed. He didn't say disappointment, but it said underachieved because you know he got a lot higher
expectations.
Yeah. He said, man, my daddy keep it real with me, man. And that warmed my heart. You know, so man, my daddy keep it real with me. So you're like, what are you gonna lie to you for? He keep it real with me. He said, he right. He said, you know, I never wanted for anything in boxing because of what my dad did. You know what I'm saying? And what boxing had done for my family. Never wanted for anything. So he said, I don't need to take no money and take a fall. You know what I'm saying? He said, you know, this sport done been good to my family. He said, you know, and he trying to carry the torch. And you know, the fact that Rahman, and I know he want to make his father proud. I know he do. You know what I'm saying? And I just like that they had that relationship where his dad don't got to handle him with kid mitts. He could just be real, just like a trainer. You know what I'm saying? You know, but that I'm looking forward to seeing this fight, man. I mean, I can't even lie. You know, and seeing how I feel like Rahman Jr. has been controlling the tempo in the press conference. It's just it ain't. I got your hat, Mayweather. Right. Even though that's Logan, and but Jake because Jake is used to being the one garnering the attention and being the one on the big money. I'm the I got all these followers on YouTube. My man, he been handling this thing, man. He been handling this thing pretty well, and he spoke on it. He said, just like I control the tempo with the press conference and with all of this, the fight gonna go the same way. He said, I'm gonna dictate what's gonna happen. He said all things he think he gonna do. I really like how he's talking. If he could put this into action, if his mindset is there, because I feel like Jake Paul might say he's gonna surprise him. Jake Paul is not a YouTuber anymore. I mean, he's a YouTuber, but he's a boxer, bro.
Right. At this point, it is
the first boxer that he's fighting. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, the YouTube angle is really played out. You just been fighting other people that's not boxers, and you're a boxer. So now you find a boxer. So here we are, and I think this is a much better fight than the Tommy Fury fight. So I'm excited for it. And I always like guys that the fact he saved the date and you picked the name, I salute to Jake Paul, man. Salute to Jake Paul. Menace Serrano fighting.
Right, exactly.
Salute in the garden, in the Mecca. I mean, I can't knock this man, bro. You know, I really didn't like him. I didn't like him for boxing. I'm feeling him. I'm feeling what he's bringing, and I like how he's like I spoke on even when the Tommy Fury, they start saying, well, we ain't gonna be able to make it, this and that, whatever. My dad and them can't come in. You're like, man, you capping, bro. I don't care about that, bro. You don't. So he started just airing everything out. He put everything out there. You know what I'm saying? And then made him, you know, then they end up saying he couldn't come, but then he even can't. They said that they blocked him and he got stopped and couldn't make it in the country. And then he said, well, he hasn't done any action to veto that because it's actions you could take. You go to the U.S., you go to the embassy, and you like, you know, so it sort of looked like he made it look like Tommy Fury,
like he bowed out, huh?
Like he really sort of looking for a way out, and he still went and got another opponent, and went and got, you know, Rockman, and I got a lot of respect for that. I just don't like the weight clause. I don't like that.
Yeah, man, I salute it too, man. It's gonna be an interesting, entertaining fight, man. Nevertheless, you know, like I say, man, boxers got to take note because the reality is that Jake Paul has found out how to market himself well and not only rely on what's going down in the ring. So he's figured out how to leverage social media, leverage YouTube, Instagram, you name it. He's been able to leverage that into a lot of hype, and now he's parlayed it into mega boxing matches, man. So salute to Jake Paul, man. Regardless of what people feel about him, he definitely is an entertainer, and he knows how to get to the bag, man. And so, man, with that being said, man, that is a wrap for Podcast 100. And this is your man, JD. And I've been rocking with my right-hand man, Q. So, Q, man, you got any last things for the people for Podcast 100?
Hey, man, y'all just keep rocking with us, baby. You know what I'm saying? We here, baby. We here, and we going to keep building. You know what I'm saying? Build with us, rock with us, deal with us, build with us, Vibez TV, man. 1,000.
With that being said, man, you already know if you're down with the vibes, hit that notification bell and subscribe. And until next time, Boxing Vibez TV signing out.